Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 10 of Podcasts for Dad with HinduDad. Welcome to my co-host, Bav. Bav, how are you this week?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Just flagging, getting to the end of the week, looking forward to the weekend.
Of course, double figures on the show. Not
Hope
bad.
so.
Not bad. 10 shows. Not bad. We're doing all right.
Ah, I see what you mean. Yeah, man, double figures.
mate.
Well, to be honest, we hit double figures before, but because we split them into segments,
yeah,
it's
I know.
just more evident this way. You didn't even realise.
That slipped my mind. I was like, oh, we've done more than that. When you said 9 last week, I was like, no, we've done more. And then it was explained to me that we split a couple of them out of the numbers that we're doing. But
man, I thought, you know what? The ones that were with Thoughtful Chats, it kind of made sense to split them off into their own segment because they were Thoughtful Chats with Hindu, that kind of thing. So we put them in a different portion, and then we can continue to build that and take it on its own vertical. You know what I mean?
That's it. How's little man Jaden doing?
Man, he's good. He's getting a lot more vocal. He's definitely being a lot more chatty. Definitely hearing more noises coming from him. Mate, when he sneezes, he reminds me of my grandfather as well. Like, literally, he's like, chee. There's that little build-up of the beforehand, just reminds of other people in the family. So, no, it's fun, man. I've actually kept up and been doing the early mornings during the week. So I've been up from like 4-5 o'clock in the morning, doing a few hours work after the morning feed, and then doing his mid-morning feed.
And then taking a nap.
Nah, man, I've been getting back to work. What are you on about?
No naps at all?
I might have had a nap here or there.
So that's when you go ghost on my messages. I know what you're doing, man. Don't even try it. Don't even bring it out there.
Listen, the thing is, by the time I've got to that point in the morning, I've already completed more than I would have done in a standard day anyway.
No, I don't blame you.
So
you have to take
I'm ahead of the game right now, man. Like, before we were playing catch up. Now I'm like, I got a bit of time on my hands today. What shall I do? You know what I mean?
Mate, I wish I was in that position, man.
Why has it been that bad for you?
I think this is the busiest I've ever been in my life. Like, I'm working till like 11, 12 daily. Yeah,
but what time are you starting in it?
9, half 9 tops.
Nah.
Honestly, like there's no way, and I'm not even taking lunch breaks.
What?
I literally just eat quickly, carry on again.
Nah.
I'm not even getting to, like, literally for this last week, I'll probably say I've played the least amount with Kalen that I have since he was born. Like, the whole, literally, and that's how busy I've been.
Is it?
And it's
Have you still been getting in the football?
Well, I'll be working, so what I'll do, I'll take my laptop downstairs if there's a game on, and I'll watch it, and I'll have it on in the background while I'm doing my work.
Did you see that game between Liverpool and Man United the other day?
Nah, I didn't watch that. Why you gotta do this, right? Listen, I'm missing the game.
But I was gonna put Jaden in his Man United top and send you a picture that day, and I didn't.
No, I'm glad you didn't, man. Kalen had his Liverpool kit on and everything, man. Like,
is it?
It was a disappointment for it. All I'm saying is, anyone that's watching right now, like, just keep me up to date with the scores, please, in the comment section, just so we know what's happening.
Leave him. Don't tell him a thing.
Because we just want to know what's going on, please. So anyone out there, please, and no false scores, right? Don't get me excited or upset.
Yeah, we don't need him distracted during a show, you know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
please. I don't want to be sitting on my phone watching it, right? So just keep me up to date. But what's been happening? Anything new from Jaden? Anything apart from getting louder?
Do you know what? He's becoming a bit more expressive. Like, he's understanding that if he wants something and he starts crying for it, he'll kind of get his way, because more than likely we will give him his bottle back if he's not wanting to burp or whatever it might be. But like I say, where he was like making those noises and sounds to say pick me up, those things are carrying on. So yeah, man, like the next couple of weeks looks to be fun. How about you, Kalen?
How old is he now?
Just over 15 weeks. If we're counting in weeks. So we're coming up to 4 months. Yeah, man.
Yeah, now you're going to see the...
Clothing is difficult as well, man. Like, I'm just going to put this out there, right? The kid is just coming up to 4 months, and he's wearing 3 to 6 month clothing, and some of the like tops that he's trying to be fit into are just tight, man. I'm not sure if you found that with Kayla.
Mate, the guy is... little man is what, 8? Just turned 8 months, actually, 3 days ago. And he's in 9 to 12, right? And I brought him. So it's my wife Priya's birthday today. So happy birthday, Priya!
Happy birthday, Priya!
And I brought him a little like baby grow top to wear, and I put it on. It was 9 to 12. I came in, I put it on him, and it's quite tight on him. And I'm like, he's not even going to get to wear it today. And it's like, that's it, it's done. Like,
He's getting it past his head, isn't it? You don't know whether you're going to hurt him or clip his ears as you're pulling it down.
he's quite good, actually. He puts his hands up.
Does he?
If you're
you're
put
lucky,
top
man.
on him, puts his hands up, so he puts him right in the right place, gets him out. When you want to take it off, lifts him up, knows when to get him out.
Yeah.
It's literally like making your job 10 times easier. It's just when you're trying to put his tracksuit bottoms on.
Priya's trained him well, mate.
Yeah, she's done well. She's done well.
So, as it's Priya's birthday, how many of those nappies have you changed, bro? Any more from that one probable?
No comment.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah, correct. That's it. Done.
Yeah.
Pleaded. Staying silent.
Alright, then.
No, I've been too busy, man. I'm telling you. I'm sorry. I didn't even get time to chill today. Like, I thought, let me take a couple of hours out. It's not even happened. So, literally, as soon as the podcast is done, chill out for a bit, have some cake.
I hope you're going to take her out on the weekend. And when I say out, I mean like go for an exercise or walk around the park.
I was going to say, what? Just walk around the block? Yeah, that's about as far as we're getting. Might have to.
Going out, mate.
Yeah, that's it. We got cake. I brought the cake, so that's the main thing we needed. So,
right.
But yeah, Lord, I think it's time we introduce our guest for the show this week.
Yeah, man.
We have Sunita from the JJs.
Hello.
Hi, Sunita. How are you?
Guys, how you doing? Yeah, you're right about clothes. I think they're definitely the wrong sizes for kids because mine is 8 and wearing 11-year-old clothes. So always buy 2 sizes up.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because like at some clothes you buy and you think, oh, I'll hold on to them, then they get put in a cupboard and you forget about them because other people have given you them.
That's happened to us. Like
many times.
We had so many clothes, and now we've had to set them in little sections to say, all right, this is 12 to 18. Put a diary note in on the calendar. All right, at 10 months, let's get the 12 to 18 out and try and see if they fit him. And literally, otherwise it will be too late, and then you got to look again for more clothes. So it's crazy. It's crazy. Well, let's. First question is, how old are your kids? Give us a bit about you, yourself, and your kids, and we'll take it from there.
Well, yeah, they're obviously getting noisier now as being babies, and that doesn't change. Wait till they get their second teeth because they definitely get mouthier. My elder one is 8, and Mighty Mouse, my little one Deanne, is 4 years old. So 2 boys, yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. I like being a boy mum.
Is it? Do you think you could handle girls? Or do you think there would be more of a handful? I think is the right question.
I think I'd be too emotional. I think I'd stress too much.
But they always say mummy's boys, daddy's girls.
Yeah.
So I take it they're always mummy with you.
I think the older one's quite daddy,
Okay.
but the younger one, yeah, both in the end when they're sick, they just want the mum.
Yeah. We got that already. It's the first word he said. He's like, mummy. Yeah, mummy's the only thing he knows. Like,
I didn't realise he was coming out with words right.
Oh, mummy is the only thing he can come out with. Like, that's it. He tries to say anything else, and he said papa maybe once or twice, but it's like mummy. Doesn't matter if it's first thing in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning. That's the only thing he's going to say. So I'm like, all right, cool. Just it's good because when you say mummy at 4 o'clock,
one day
it makes it easier for you to roll over, innit?
I'm like, yeah. No, that's what it's going to get to. I've told my mum and dad, right? I said, at the moment he's in our room, which we're looking to get him out of there. And we've said as soon as he gets out, he's going to be on a separate floor to us, which is right next to their room. So I've said, look, he has to say dada and daddy, and that's it. And they can come and get him at night if he makes noise, and I'll get my sleep. So I'm trying to angle it. I don't think it's going to work, but I'll keep you guys updated. I don't think
it's going to work.
I'll keep you guys updated, see if it works.
He's going to be like, mum, and Priya's going to be nudging you like, listen, bruv, I've done my time, yeah.
Yeah, can you go get him? I'll look up, just go get him. It's a whole set of stairs, right? That time of the morning, it's the longest thing to be doing.
Brilliant.
What you don't want her to do is nudge you to make the morning bottle, innit? Because then you've got 2 flights of stairs.
No, bottle maker's in our room.
Yeah, that's what
cheating.
Why am I gonna put it downstairs, like 2 flights down and go up? No, man, it's in my room there. If I need it, it's there straight away.
Everything up to the bedrooms, no travelling in the middle of the night. You just
really
grab it and go. Yeah, it's all about the bottle warmers.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, we've got
We've
the
got them, but we don't
Tommy
use the
Tippy
bottle
machine, right? And it just warm.
Yeah,
You literally
makes
get
it
room
hot.
temp, ready to go within 2 minutes. We
That
don't really
didn't
use it much,
that
but
didn't exist for my first one, but for my second one, it was like a godsend. It really was.
What's your perspective on the Tommy Tippy bottles?
Well, I had to. I mean, to be honest, my first one didn't have a single bottle at all. He just wouldn't
Really?
drink the bottle. So I was stuck. He was stuck to mummy for 2 years, and
That's got to
my
be intense.
yeah, it was because he wouldn't take a bottle. He was put on bottle boot camp where he didn't get fed, and he had to just try with this bottle.
No
No,
way.
what I did, it was just mummy, mummy, mummy. He would not feed at all. We took him to countless people. He just wouldn't feed from a bottle. He just wouldn't do it.
we're having that at the moment. Like we are trying everything to give him at least one a day, and we've even tried different beakers or different.
We've tried every bottle you can buy from any country. We bought it. Mum,
Nothing worked.
no. But
See,
whereas the second one had to have bottles because I was so sick when he was born. So I wasn't around for the first 2 weeks when he was born. So he had no choice to have a bottle. So
and he got used to it very quickly and didn't
yeah,
mind it. So
yeah, he had to deal with it or he wouldn't get fed because there was no mum.
This is it. That's all he knows, isn't it? So it makes it easier.
Definitely.
So tell us a bit more about yourself. Like, obviously, you started the JJs and that whole journey and chapter of your life. But before that all came about, tell us about Sunita.
Well, I grew up in Macclesfield, which is in Cheshire. So from a very kind of different community here, because my brother and I were the only Asians at school. It was quite a kind of white conservative town. Things have really changed now, actually. We went to Catholic schools, so had quite a lot of a balance between the Christian religion and the Hindu religion growing up. I lived and went to Leeds for university. I worked in Birmingham. I practice as a speech and language therapist, so I've been practicing for 22 years now as a pediatric speech therapist. My specialism is bilingualism, so I've done quite a lot of research and work on developing bilingual kids and the importance of bilingualism. So I am the advisor for the UK under the Royal College of Speech Therapists. I train quite a lot of
Wow.
and institutes basically on the advantages of bilingualism and how to kind of diagnose kids that haven't got speech and language difficulties, that don't need a speech therapy but just haven't been exposed to languages. So that's my kind of initial baseline of what I've been doing for so long. And then the JJs came my way.
And how did you go from speech and language therapy to thinking, I want to start exploring the culture more?
Well, it was my little one actually. So I mean, we always had a Monday in our bedrooms, and he'd come and say, "Mum, who's the monkey god and who's the elephant god?" And Mummy, why? Why do we do this? Why do we do that? And I started looking on the internet actually for books, and even when I went to India and stuff to get some library books, and we were brought up with those Omi Jitra comics with their things, and he was only 3 at the time. And I think I showed him and read one story to him, and he started crying because I think he was a bit scared by some pictures and things. So I thought, okay, do you know what? I'm going to just make my own. And it was just an idea I threw out there. Was very blessed to meet my business partner and the illustrator of the business, James. And the JJs was born. So we started off with our first book in 2005. So we had our 5th birthday in December, actually, just gone. And 5 years later and 20 titles. So yeah, it's been a great journey actually, just developing, using the foundation skills I've got as a speech and language therapist, knowing about developmental forms, kids' language, what interests them, and kind of piling all that information into the books really.
That's crazy, isn't it? How things have changed in such a short period of time, and what you've got out there, which everyone can explore and use, must be a gratifying experience.
It is. I think one of the most precious moments was me. My granddad passed away last year, and he was 101 years and 10 months actually. So he had a good innings, and it was just seeing someone that's 100 years old sit with a 3-year-old child for 45 minutes and actually have something in common that they could understand and connect with. That wasn't, my granddad just didn't get the whole Pokemon or WWF. Things like that. But it was just something that they could sit and talk about, and they expanded on the stories, and just that bridging of that generation gap was just magical, I think. And I think that's what I really, really couldn't believe that's happened through the books, is how much that kids are like, or when we go to our grandparents, they whip up their JJ's books and off they go, because it's that real sense of,
It's a way for them to connect, right?
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's been a really,
So for
really,
those people that are not listening in and they haven't like seen the books, or we'll put a link out to the website as well where you guys can go get the books from. But in terms of age groups, what age groups does it cover, and what made you choose those age groups, and how does it go? What age group does it go up to?
okay, so we started with our first range, and I wanted to kind of make a set of books for kids that would kind of modernize Hinduism a bit. Because even still, when my kids were in nursery and then when we were at school, and they're like, we're teaching Hinduism, can you bring some bits in? And there'll be still those 80s books there with the girl with a bob haircut holding a light in a blue Punjabi suit.
You must have really been offended by that, because you can remember it so vividly.
I'm sure I read that 40 years ago as a kid, and that's a new bookshelf. And just more than anything, it was trying to bring the Hindu gods and goddesses into more of a vibrant way, where kids of this generation could relate to that kind of imagery. So it's a bit more modern, it's a bit more engaging. So we started the journey with the main books, which we've got 9 titles of different gods and goddesses. And they're not so much stories, they're more facts about where the gods from, what their symbolism, who are their sort of avatars, and who are they kind of related to, where did they come from. So they're not full stories, they're just introductions on the deities. And then we kind of dropped down a level, because when we looked, we didn't see anything for babies. Then we wanted kind of the JJs to be babies and beyond. So we created a set of board books, and using the kind of speech therapy brain, kids start babbling, they start using single words. But there wasn't books with Hindu gods and goddesses on it in that single word format. Which was visually the right way for babies that would learn on white backgrounds that are quite big and colourful. And obviously babies tear books, so we wanted them to be kind of durable for hands and mouths too.
Yeah.
The board books. And what we've kind of done with the JJs is matured the gods alongside the ages of the kids. So when you look at Ganesh in the baby books, he's a baby Ganesh. When you look at him in the toddler one, he's a bit more of a toddler Ganesh. And then we kind of go through to the festivals collection, which are more detailed stories on Holi, Mahabir, and Diwali. And again, that's got a lot more text. So it's a bit more of a story set for 5 to kind of onwards 8-year-olds. And then we brought out a legends collection. So I sat with Rishi Handa, who's got a fantastic knowledge of the scriptures and Sanskrit. And we literally translated the Ramayana, but again, James's imagery became a bit more Harry Potter and a bit more dark. So kids who were a bit older could engage with that sort of imagery, which we did with the Jalisa as well, make it a bit more kind of modern and engaging for kids. So we kind of, and the thing is, what's been great about this is I've learned so much. God knows I asked my parents what they actually taught me as a kid.
But this is it, right? And this is one of the fundamental reasons why Barb and I sit on this show week to week, right? Is because we've never had a foundational understanding of these things in our culture that we can explain forward to our children, right? And that I think we both have an issue with, because we've had to have these conversations with our parents where we're like, I'll do what you want me to do, but tell me what the relevance is so I understand it and understand what I'm doing, right? I don't have a problem doing what you're asking. And the fact is, we're always getting told that one line, it's tradition, we do it because we do it. And they don't know any different, because in their day, they weren't able to question their parents. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So the fact that we can now instead it using tools and, resources and teach it from such a young age is a blessing.
Yeah, and it's making them kind of understand it. It's like growing up as a Gujarati as well. It's like, right, this is Shravan Moino. You've got to do this special month and get down and pray to the cooker. So you'd be there throwing the rice and throwing the flowers on the cooker. You just go to bed. And that was it, job done. And then I come from that whole perspective, but why? And I've been really lucky because we've got a Hindu priest who's actually quite young, Sagrabhai Shukla, and he's really great because he's got quite a scientific base, good knowledge on Hinduism in the sense that he can explain to me why this has happened, why do they say this. And I think sometimes what happens along the line is culture can get so embedded in religion that you don't know which is tradition, which is family tradition and which is culture.
No,
So,
I 100% agree with that.
for example, they'd say something like, pregnant women can't wash their hair. So when I got married into it, they were like, don't wash your hair. So I go to my mum going, you must be kidding. There's no way for 9 months I'm washing my hair. And she goes, oh, but that's what we do in ours. And I said, but why? So when I spoke to someone, he said, well, because when they were in India, they'd go and wash their hair by the rivers or the
Yep.
lakes. Going down to that river was rocky and women would miscarry. So that was his reason. And there's so many different reasons behind everything, which I've learned in Hinduism. You know, Hanuman's got a monkey face, but there's 5 stories that why he's got a monkey face, you know. There's always different dates. One person celebrates one thing on one day,
Yep.
another person, but it's to do with regions in India. It's not because the dates are wrong. So I've learned a lot, actually, a lot during the whole way, and trying to, well, we always say the JJ's way, because we want people to understand it so they can tell their children in a logical manner that makes sense. So if they understand it, they will carry on those traditions.
No, definitely. I think you hit the nail on the head, especially with the kind of washing hair, because we've had that debate on the show before. Because
Many a time.
Many a time. We went through it personally because my wife didn't wash her hair for a good 4 or 5 months while she was pregnant, because obviously the family said, you know, at that time you don't want to even be getting into that argument of, you know, why you're not washing hair or why can't you don't want to get into that argument. It's not, you know, because if God forbid something happens,
yeah,
you know, you're kind of thinking, oh, I should have just listened and just done. You see the point? Okay. So, and in Hinduism, I think a lot of superstition comes into it as well. You know, there's so many things that we do which is superstitious. You know, not passing knife hand.
Generally, we're not very optimistic people, are we?
No.
It's the risk assessment, isn't it?
Bruh, I think I'm like the rebel, or like, you know, the one that broke the mold.
But I think, you know, what we're trying to do, and I think you're right, is we're all trying to get to the point where our children will get to a certain age where they will question us.
Yeah,
you know, and ask us that question. You know, you've got to.
Like, you're already getting those questions. You just said that, right?
I have to write all this stuff.
and you're doing the right thing. Like, I've got your book collection in front of me now, literally sitting in front of me. And I'll be honest, we've been through the baby one because my son's 8 months. And my wife, you know, I'll see if I can bring up a little bit up to the camera, but that's a couple of the pictures there from the Ganesh book.
Yeah, they're the big bits.
All right, honestly, the pictures are amazing, right? It's really simple, really straightforward, and she was making her own kind of story up for each picture as it goes along. Just so he stays interactive with it and keeps listening. He listened for about 30 seconds, then he just wanted to eat the book. So it is good they're hardback, and you know, it is child friendly for them to sit there munching on, because at the moment anything he sees, just like, I'm gonna eat that. You can't do that. You know, he got one of these other small little baby books. You know, I think someone gave it as a gift or got it free with them from the hospital or something. He literally ripped it in half. Because it was paper. He just ripped it. He's like, oh, this is nothing.
That's why we made them board books, so they're a bit more durable. Because I just knew
the quality of the books is amazing. I'll be honest. Like, I've been gifted loads of books already. You know, for Kalen. But the quality of the books, and you know, I haven't been through all of them, and I want to go through them as he gets older with him.
I got to say, fair play though, in such a busy week that you've actually managed to go through some of them. Like, well done.
The first thing I did was let me try and go through these books with him, because my wife pre-ordered it, and I thought, well, let me try and go through them with him as well. Let me see if he sits with me and looks through them. And we went through every single one of them, all 6 of them, and opened each and every one and tried to sit him there. But yeah, it was like trying to grab him back, say, okay, let's go through it again, let's sit through it. And it's stuff for them to learn, and it was, the more he sees it, the more he goes through it, you know, he's going to enjoy learning it. And then he'll start asking those questions.
And that's the thing about books and stuff, you know, you'll get to the stage where you've read The Hungry Caterpillar 100 times because it's their favourite book. But that repetition is so important to make kids learn. And you know, we try to teach things, but if kids haven't got a visual representative of what they're learning, so if you taught them about a duck-billed platypus, how could they truly understand this weird creature that has got a beak and it's got, like, webbed feet, but it looks like a beaver? And can you learn that now? Because it's an animal that you find in rivers. Well, no, show me a picture, and then my brain function will be able to learn that word. And the beauty about those is once your little one learns that this is Ganesh, this is Laddu, this is a Trishul, when he gets to the next book, when he's speaking sentences, he's got that foundation of vocabulary already. So when you pull up the next book, those words are already there, ready to then take it to the next level, and then the next level again, and then the third level. And that's why we gauge the books that way, that each new word they learn from the first book gets translated to the second book, because all the words in the baby books are taken from the original series and downgraded.
Right.
So,
So let's see the correlation between. No, I think it's fantastic. Like, you know, everyone learns in different ways, right? Some people better learn easier when they read. Some people are more visual, and some people learn with action. So the fact that you're covering off a couple of those bases there just makes it so much easier, right?
yeah.
And what's your favorite book? Like, I'd probably say, what was the best project for you with regards to putting all of this together?
I think the best project out of all, I mean, the baby books were so rewarding because I just loved how James kind of did the imagery behind this, because they didn't take much for me to write because it's one word. So I actually had a bit of a cop out on that project because all I had to do was choose the words. And James worked his magic as he always does. But I think the most rewarding book that I've written, two is the Ramayana, because of actually having 3 big scriptures and seeing how these original poets have written in Sanskrit the story of the Ramayana, because our book's like this and it's like a simple translation, but when you go really deep into it, it's such a beautiful story. So I think on a learning perspective and understanding scriptures, I think I had a big journey for that. But I think the most rewarding book for me has been the Hanuman Chalisa, because I have been listening to that ever since I could probably hear. My parents have always had it on the house, and I can recite it back to front, but I didn't understand it. And it's actually until I started this project that I understood the full translation of the Hanuman Chalisa. And I think this is where JJ's is babies and beyond, because even through our blogs and our Instagram and stuff, when we're putting up, like this week, we put up a blog post about why do Hindus wear a tilak and representing certain things. And it just goes so viral because people don't understand, like, why would you ring a bell? Like, I was taught that we ring a bell when we go and pray to wake up God. And then I started thinking, well, when I'm little, well, but Mum, God shouldn't be asleep. Like, they're everywhere, and there's loads of them. So surely one of them's not sleeping. So why are we waking them up? And it's only when I started research and reading the post about why actually we ring the bell. And actually, back in the olden days, they'd fine-tuned the actual alloys in the metal. So when the bell was struck, it hit the sound Om, which is a divine sound and has so much kind of positive energies. Then I started to understand the true meaning about ringing a bell. And there's fundamentally quite a few reasons why that happens. But these are things I don't think, I mean, even my parents, when I read them, they're my editors. So I give it to my dad, he's so good. And but Dad's like, oh, we never knew that. And I've written a few more recently about how Ganesh broke his trunk, and Dad's like, we never knew that. So it's kind of educating that skipped generation in a way and bring kind of round that, yes, the leaders in the village used to sit and tell those stories about Siddlama during the fasting period and things like that. But it's not things that we were taught because our parents weren't that inquisitive. We just got on with it and kind of did it. They knew certain things. But we're at that generation of wanting to really understand why it happens. So that's the perspective that we've been coming from. And I think that's why the Jalisa rung so close to me, because there were so many adults going, God, we listen to it all the time. And it's only till we've read your book and the children
understand it
that now we know what we've put on at home. And it's surprising of how many people of our generation will put the Jalisa in the morning on before they start the day. That surprised me. I just thought it was my little world, but it clearly wasn't. So.
No, like you say, it's the norm, right? Like, people are so used to listening to it, and they've been listening to it from such a young age that it just becomes a norm. And you once you've been listening to a song for that many years, you do start like mimicking and singing along, regardless whether you know what the words are or not, right? It's like if I look back to my childhood, one of my favorite songs as a kid was "A La 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 Long" by Sweat. And obviously back in the day, you're singing that with your like to the top of your lungs, and everyone in the car singing along. And when you get to a certain age and you start listening to the words and you realize what you're saying and you connect the dots and you're like, damn. Do you know what I mean? Like, this guy's literally talking about standing across the room from a girl and talking about how he wants to make her sweat.
Or you make up your own words just so you can keep singing the song.
Well, this is it. But now most of the, like, I'll tell you what, one thing that Reshma does is she'll always, whenever Jaden's having a bath, she'll always put on like Indian songs and things like that. But like baby songs. So like we're talking about the Indian equivalent of Baby Shark or something like that. And they've got all the words along. So before you know it, as you're looking at the screen trying to engage him, you're singing the bloody song as well. Do you know what I mean?
I know all the nursery rhymes now. Like, I come down for breakfast and I'm like, Alexa, play nursery rhymes. And then it comes on and then you're like literally doing the nursery rhymes with him and it keeps him concentrated. And then mum and dad come down and they put on YouTube and they put on Sri Ganesh and he's just glued. He's glued to the TV.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, this child is like, doesn't move.
They're like sponges though. They've just learned so quickly. Like with my little one, it was constant nursery rhymes and stuff. And then when you have second child, they're so different, and what you do is so different from when you've had your first.
Yeah.
And so I've got an 8-year-old who went through Thomas and nursery rhymes, and then we took him to nursery, and the nursery teacher goes, "You've got some nursery rhymes." Deanne doesn't seem to know like Wheels on the Bus. I'm like, yeah, but put Keith Sweat on and he'll sing that for you. I'm like, yeah, and they're like, oh, like he's talking about Skins and Fortnite and Spider-Man. I'm like, he's missed all that because he's wanted to do. I mean, he's 4 and he plays Roadblocks and he mashes up these 8-year-olds because he's been watching what his brother's doing. It's amazing to see actually from when you've had your first to when you have your second, what such a difference is. Because with your first, I mean, you invest time, you do all this, do all that, but the second one just wants to copy the older sibling. So he's 4 and he's kind of reading proper little books at the moment, whereas with Zion, he was 4 and he could barely write his name and do his phonics. So there's such a change in.
But they always say the second ones are smarter anyway.
But I think you've hit the nail on the head because they're always a bit more coerced by wanting to copy what the elder one's doing, right? So like my nephew Aiden, he is just over a year old, and if you looked at this guy you'd think he's 2.5 years old, and in like not where he is in development right now. He's so far advanced because the first year and a bit of his life he spent at home with his elder brother and just trying to mimic and copy what he does.
Everything. But that's what they do. Like, we've got that next door. We've got 2 boys. They've got 2 boys there, and the younger one just picked up so much more so quickly. We watched them grow up from when they were born, and he picked up so much more because he would just watch his brother, know what he's doing, and just keep going.
It's like a game, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what it was.
They just watch it. My 2, Cobra Kai, their cranes are wicked. And I'm like, why don't you just watch like Ninja Turtles? Because now I'm on Cobra Kai, put Cobra Kai on. Because that's what we're doing. So he's like, well, I don't want to watch what my brother's watching. And I'm like,
why not? Why? Learn more as well at the same time.
Been really good, so
I need to watch it actually.
It's good.
That is on the list to watch.
So saying that, like, how's homeschooling going for you then?
I'm clocking it. Because we've got a ratio of 4 adults to 2 kids. I'm winning.
Any tips for the people watching?
I think, to be honest, is I've created one thing that has really worked, because the problems that I had with my kids, like I'm working still, so we've got our next book coming out in 2-3 weeks. I run my clinic, so I've still got my clinic up in Stanmore, and I've got my clinic here in Cheshire. So I still see quite a lot of patients over Zoom and stuff, and I do 1 day a week in a special or high needs school, really. And so I'm kind of trying to juggle work as well as the kids. And it does help that my mom's there, because we moved from London. We were in Harrow for 16 years and moved to Cheshire nearly 2 years ago. We were going to plan to move last year, but because of COVID kicked in, we just stayed put because we're like, well, it's working. We're on course. Yeah. My dinner's done, my ironing's done. I'm not moving. I'm staying here. The kids are
And the fact is, like, people accept the fact that you can do meetings via Zoom now, right? Whereas before they'd be like, no, we want to meet
It's a
you in
game
person.
changer. It's been great for me because I don't have to do lots of trips anymore. I can run everything from my computer. But I think the biggest challenge, I think, within the homeschooling is they're on technology. So my older one has 2 hours in the morning for maths and English, an hour lesson in the afternoon, and then one period to do his own online that they've recorded something. And even with the little one, all the phonics and the things that they've got to learn are on screens. So with the older one, he's upstairs, and there's time and time again I've walked in and suddenly the teacher's been flicked to a YouTube video. I'm like, how come there's a YouTube video on this and your teacher's that big in the corner? Like, you need to be listening to your teacher. And I think I'm speaking to a lot of mums and like, yeah, because they're always on technology. And then because they're not with their friends, they want to game with their friends. They want to chat to their friends because they can't meet them. And I don't want him to be taken out of that loop for his own mental health and social skill to be able to be with his friends and his cousins and things. So it was a bit of a double-edged sword for me. And I was like, well, hang on, these kids are now spending about 6-7 hours a day on the screen because of learning.
This leads to my next question is, does that concern you how much screen time they're doing now?
Well, I've made a game changer this time. I made them sign a contract this week. So they've got a contract, and on that list is 6 things. So I'm like, get your clarinet done, read for 20 to 30 minutes, do your homeschooling, do one chore, one craft activity, and I've written a list of what he has to do. So every day I print it out, stick on the wall. So when I say, can I have my Switch? I'm like, looking at that list, is what have you got left? He says, as soon as that list is done, and the quicker you get it done, the quicker you can start gaming. And it's been a game changer for me, especially with the older one. The little one still doesn't get it. He's like, I'm on the iPad. I'm like, I've run out of time. We just lock off the devices. I think with parents, the best thing to do is have your kids' devices under the control of your phones, because you're like, oh, my Wi-Fi's run out. Sorry, you shouldn't have got it this morning because you've gone on left this afternoon. So that's how I control the little one. And with the older one now, he's got a task list, so that everything has to be kind of ticked off, and then you do what you want. I'm not bothered.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because they are stuck indoors, and like you say, that whole social integration and aspect for them is completely changing in today's world as well, right?
Definitely. I think it's a difficult one. And what I'm seeing a pattern in my clinics as well is that lots of parents are phoning now because they're worried that the kid's not talking and they're so behind. And it's not children that will typically have language difficulties or syndromes or autism. These are just normal developing kids, but because of their environment, they're not maximizing their kind of language use. And this is we've come up with a new initiative actually that's going to be coming out in March, is just supporting, because what do you get told as dads, and I'm sure you did when you did your classes and stuff, how to change a nappy, how to bath them, weaning, toilet training. Who talks about how to teach a kid how to speak?
No one really.
Developmental classes, unless your child doesn't talk and then you get referred to a speech and language therapist. But no one gives parents real tips of how to engage. And at the moment, you can't take them to museums to learn about mummies, or you can't take them to a climbing wall to learn about concepts of up and down and stuff like that. You can't take them swimming to make them understand wet and cold. They're at home. So those language fundamentals are not coming. So until we then use our routine and play to maximise language use, because that's the exposure they're getting. So that's kind of the new initiative we're launching in March, is just using basic parents and teaching them how to talk to their kids. So yeah.
It sounds crazy, isn't it, when you say it out loud, right? That this is the kind of experiences that we've got to now deal with, just because people are put into an environment which they're completely unfamiliar with.
And it's simple things like eye contact. You know, when you're talking to someone, you hold eye contact, you nod. And
do you know what, though?
Of what we communicate is non-verbal.
Yeah, but when you look at the conversations that you've had when you've been in meetings or like environments face to face with people, do you not notice that within the last, say, 10 to 15 years, there's a lot of people that find it very difficult to look someone in the eye when they're holding a conversation?
Yeah.
Yeah, and even on the screen, because it's so intense, because your face is literally there on the screen, isn't it? So if you're kind of doing that, you're going to get clapped down here that you're not listening.
Yeah.
Whereas when they're gaming, it's just a mic and a thingy. They're not having to listen. But what I do find quite good, and I'm not kind of I'm a very balanced mum when it comes to my kids. I've never been a sugar police mum. I've never been don't eat your McDonald's, because I've worked with pediatricians and I've seen kids that have been totally kind of teetotal on fruit shoots, and they get one and they go bonkers. Whereas
Yeah,
I'm my 4-year-old, I don't mind have a bit of Coke, because when you have your first Coke, you're not going to get done in
sugar
by
rush. Yeah.
your body's going to cope with it.
Hmm.
And to the point that my older one, I've sweeted him out so much. She's like, "Mum, can I have a piece of fruit instead? I don't want chocolate." And I'm like, "It's overfilled it." And now he's like, "Actually, I'll have a piece of fruit instead." So it's interesting, and I think with a lot of these things, it's so personal, because every family dynamic is different. I'm winning in homeschooling because I've got an extra 2 grown-ups. Things are kind of being done for me. My work is a bit better because everything's computer based. I'm not having to travel. But everyone's dynamics, the kids are different, their interactions are different, people's commitments are different. And I think it's that whole one size fits all approach doesn't always necessarily work. So,
I
yeah.
definitely agree with that. One size does definitely not fit all. So one of my next questions is, within the next month of February, from the list of things that you've created, what is the most relevant thing that we could discuss?
So I think February, the big thing that's coming up is the Mahashivratri,
Hmm.
which is Bhagwan's birthday. That's quite a big thing. And then in March, it's Holi. But I think also entwined with this, looking at kind of kids' mental health and resilience to what they're doing, we've also got a set of yoga cards which talks about balancing the chakras. It gives them daily affirmations. So they've been very popular recently as a kind of go-to from off the screens to do something a little bit calming. So a lot of families have kind of embraced a bit of yoga time now into their routine, which has been quite nice. So yes, I think with the Hindu calendar, most things really kick in August, September
Yep.
onwards, when it gets really busy with Navratri and Diwali and the whole kind of Shravan month and stuff.
And you've got a calendar that people can go and get, right, to help them with these dates.
Yes. The reason I made that calendar is because they used to, I don't know if people that use those still, the paper calendars where you rip off one
We used to have that all the time.
yeah. So I'd phone my mum when I was in Harrow, and she'd like, "Right, make sure you fast today because it's this ceremony. Don't cook any meat or anything for the kids or whatever."
Yeah, I've
So,
seen my mum having those phone calls with her mother.
and then I'd fast, and then I'd phone my granddad, "Because what you fasting today for? It's tomorrow." I'm like, "I'm not fasting tomorrow now. I've done it today." So I set the wrong dates. And the thing is, like I was saying, with the dates, it can be so different because of the regions in India where you're from. People celebrate on different days. There's nothing that's kind of wrong. It's just, some bit with us, we can't always predict. It's like Christmas every 25th of December. It's going to be Christmas because it's such a lunar calendar. But that's why I kind of created my calendar. So just people like us can look at it in English and say, right, this is when it's going to be Navratri and this is when it's Diwali. And
No, this is a little overview of the calendar if anyone wants to have a look at it. That's January. There's a few dates in there. What's coming up? What's the date today?
But essentially, if you've not been able to go to the Mandir this year and pick up your yearly calendar, I would highly advise you to go and invest in this one.
Definitely.
And I think one thing about this one that's been nice is we focused on well-being. So at the beginning, it's got some breathing exercises. We've got a daily visualization. You've got a monthly yoga pose and affirmations. So, and it's got all the fun days throughout the whole kind of monthly cycle. So yeah, and there's not that many left. So if you do want one,
And you know what? Like, in all fairness, like, SALT, speech and language therapy, is something that's become a lot more apparent, should I say, or a lot more to the forefront, and people are discussing it a lot more. I've certainly seen it on social platforms a lot more within, say, the past 6 months, more so than anything. But do you think, like, the whole pandemic situation that everyone's in now has amplified the need of access to SALT therapies?
yeah, I definitely think so. And I think more than salt therapy, it's just communication skills. Because the thing that we don't realize, and you'll find this with your 2 boys, you two are the best facilitators. You know when that bottle needs to be given, that bottle's there. You know when that baby's going to have a bath, that bath is ready. You know when X, Y, and Z. So your whole routine is governed by either your time or a cry, or that's what we do at this time. This is going to happen. Here's your favorite toy. Here's your book. I'll get you changed. I'll keep you warm. I'll feed you. And if a child has underlying either communication difficulties, or when it comes to their communication not following the expected norms, you have to adapt what you're doing. So, for example, if you were going to say to your child, come on, let's go to the park, get your shoes on, we're going out the door now. That's 12 words. Now, if a child hasn't got a comprehension problem about understanding it, they'll get their shoes and walk out the door. But if they're not talking, how are they going to learn a 12-word sentence? So if we were going to go and learn Arabic and they started talking in 12 words, we'd be like, slow down, just tell me what ball is or what aeroplane is. Let me learn that first, and then I'll go on. And people don't realize that language has to be adapted to match the child's norms of language development. So if you're expecting a 2-year-old to be speaking in 2-word sentences or single words, then you need to adapt your level to match that so they can learn that way. Children won't learn without experience or having it in front of them. Like,
they mirror, don't they?
Yeah, the porridge is ready. It's on the breakfast table. The Cocoa Pops are there. So why can't you hold a bowl and say, do you want porridge or do you want Weetabix? Which one? A simple choice so they can learn the name of Weetabix instead of, right, here's your breakfast, here's your bowl of berries, here's your this, because we facilitate so much. And it's about tweaking your routine and your play to give them opportunities to talk instead of us always jumping in. What colour's this? What
dictating.
Where does this go? Why are we testing them? Why are we seeing what they know? We should be teaching them, not constantly saying, what's this, what's that, say this. Because you're testing what they don't know. You need to teach them what they don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's very interesting when you put it that way as well, because a lot of people probably don't realise that they're doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just something that you start doing, you become accustomed to doing it, and it continues. But no one will really pull you to the side and be like, look, I hear what you're doing right there, but try and do it this way.
Yeah.
But they don't know. That's what I mean when it comes to all these kind of parenting classes. It's such a gap that just simple strategies can enhance your kids' language so much, but they're not naturally taught unless there's suddenly a red marker that you need to go to a speech and language therapist.
It's crazy how you have to study for so long to become a doctor, but anyone can have a kid, innit?
Yeah, that's yeah. Don't even get me started on that.
But it's true. Like I was fortunate to have some of these classes. I think Jay wasn't when they were expecting, and you pretty much learn the first week, maybe 2 weeks of what life will be like, and then after that it's just repetition of feed, sleep, bath, just the usual things. But no one ever mentions try and communicate with your child by doing X, Y, and Z, or try and sit them down and teach them this by doing this. Yes, but all the things you're saying, when you think about it, because you're putting it out in plain English, you're like, oh, okay, we do that, but we never knew that. Where you don't know that you're doing it, you just go along with what you think is right. But if there is a bit more guidance on it, a little bit more awareness about it for new dads, new moms out there who can look and say, oh, okay, I can do this with my child. I can, it becomes a lot easier for people to then, and kids will learn a lot more. What I've seen personally is, and I think that, if we weren't in this lockdown, and me and my wife are living on our own, I would be at work. I wouldn't see my son for an hour or two a day. Now, what am I going to be able to, well, if that, what am I going to be really able to teach him in those hours where actually his mind's not wanting to learn anything? He's tired, he's cranky, I'm keeping him up, I'm bothering him pretty much because I want to spend time with him. And he's like, no, Dad, leave me alone, I want to go to bed. Like, you're home too late.
Whereas, I just need to snuggle. I don't need anything else.
And now it's like, oh, okay, let's sit down, let's do X, Y, and Z. Let's watch this on TV, let's watch this alphabet. Let's talk about all these letters and these words that are associated. Like this, I don't know if Jay, you should watch it. It's called Jack Hartman on YouTube, right? And he does the alphabet from A to Z, right? But the whole
we watch Rasta Mouse.
Yeah.
Watch that one. But this guy, honestly, so good. He's Caden's eyes are glued to it because it's bright colours. basic letters just out there, and he's also doing a sign language to him as well. So
I think you
seeing
made
that.
a really good point there, but this is something that I'd like to kind of intrude on, because parents can be very quick to teach academic concepts. So, what shapes this? What colours this? Let's do your phonics. Can you count? Right? And I see it time and time again in the 20 years of my practice. I'll get people come into clinic with my autistic children, my Down syndrome children, and they're like, well, he knows his number, shapes, and colours. Like, he's doing really well at school. I'm like, can he ask for a biscuit? And they're like, no. And I'm like, great. There's that 2 levels of language learning.
Yeah.
Life skills.
Communication,
Oh,
skills.
definitely, 100%.
How can they not say more and again, or where's my socks?
Yeah.
Where's my shoe? But yet they can do the planets. Brilliant. But let's get, and I've been such a practitioner that's so practical that those academic concepts will come, and school is a good base for them to learn that. You be a parent and teach them social skills, respect, turn taking, eye contact, friendly ways of talking, make a friend. How would you make a friend? For me, as a parent and a practitioner, I think those skills are such a grounding for kids rather than the number, shapes, planets, and colours. They need that, to be good kids. And that's
This
why
is it.
I've been a mummy that's pushed my kids to do anything. I'm like, I really don't care, Nicola. You grow up to be whatever you want to be, and it's not a university, it's not a scientist, a doctor. As long as you've got a smile on your face and you've got friends and a house to live in, I've done my job.
And you know how to respect people and how to speak to different types of people. Because that's, even when we look at people our age and older and stuff, there's always that kind of thing to say, if I put you in a room with a child, or I put you in a room with an 80-year-old, or I put you in a room with someone the same age as you, are you able to communicate with all 3 of them?
And that's what I love
because there's so many people that struggle.
Yeah, and that's what I love about my boys, because they're so flexible with whoever might approach. Like, my kid sees an Indian person on FaceTime, they're like, Namaste, Jai Shri Krishna, Namaste. I'll be like, yeah, Mama, how's it going? And, okay. Whereas with their friends on Fortnite, and then they're, Mommy, so you get all the different kind of levels. But he adapts himself so quickly to the social situation, who you be communicating with how. And, I really admire him for that. But, sometimes we forget so much because we strive for this success with our kids.
And do you know what it is? I think we've just been instilled with that vision that we've got to be an academic success.
I think there's more to it.
I like, that's a completely different conversation. We need a separate hour to cover it off.
We'll be another hour on that one.
Like, I'm not an academic, I'm a hands-on kind of guy, you know what I mean? But even me and Bob, we've spoken about this in the past. Like, one of the things I've said to him is I want to teach Jaden about the value of money and how to look after his money early, right? It's something we're not really taught very well at school. And obviously the other thing is, if you have your upbringing where somebody else manages your money, then when you get that money, you become a rebel. You kind of want to be like, all right, well, I couldn't buy that then, I'm going to buy it now, right? So when I was talking to Reshma about it, I was like, look, I'd even from a young age, I'd get Monopoly money and give the kid Monopoly money, and every time they want a bag of crisp or they want a bag of chocolate, they can have their Monopoly money, which is their weekly allowance, but they understand the value of what that is because they're using it to trade for something that they want.
Yeah. No, I think it's simple things. Money management. My older one, he loves cooking because I'm the biggest foodie. I've got a group on Facebook that's got 80,000 people because of joined this community together. And
congratulations.
I know it's it's in 55 countries and we have crazy interactions every month. And what's been interesting is he absolutely loves food. So one of his Christmas presents was a recipe book that he'll write Mummy's recipes in. Yep. And he MasterChef Kids cookbook, and he couldn't have been happier. But having something so simple like that, and he really appreciated it. The next day, we woke up for breakfast. He'd made scrambled eggs and toast, and it was already on the table, and he's ate.
No way.
It's like, yeah, this is going good. Let's see that. I can sit down.
Oh, that's amazing. I bet you was well proud.
Oh, he was. I was. The kitchen wasn't, but.
You can let that one slide.
Did you teach him how to wash up yet?
Yeah, he knows how to wash up. They have rules. They come home from school and they earn their V-Bucks because the V-Bucks is costing you a fortune. And I said, look, like you said, money management has to work two ways. I'm not just going to, I could buy you V-Bucks, but I'm not going to buy you V-Bucks until you have done something to earn them. So they have a task list that they come home from school. If their shoes are on the shoe shelf and their coats hung, their lunchbox are emptied and put in the wash basket, they change their clothes, they hang their school uniform up, they get 10 points. 10 points is one V-Buck. So they would do their stuff because Friday, whatever things that they would do, they've earned it and they get their V-Bucks or whatever on a Friday, or the little one would get whatever he wants. So I'm kind of trying to instill it in them that actually I'm not here to run around and be your housekeeper because I've got enough to do with just feeding you and doing your homework at the moment. You need to put your shoes back because I'm not picking them up. I'm quite militant like that because I want them to be good guys in the long run, that they don't feel that this is a woman's job and this is a man's job, that this is a family job, because that's how we got brought up. My dad does the ironing, he does the gardening. You know, he's a very kind of, he'll hoover on a weekend. And we've been brought up with that in our house, and I don't want them to see the difference, that mummy and daddy's jobs are different.
My dad does exactly the same. He does it all. I'm like,
what do you do?
Me. Well, they enjoy doing it, right? So it just puts me in a
So you let him enjoy it.
I'm like, what do I even offered? I offered to the point and say, look, let's get a cleaner in, right? Once a week. We'll do X, Y.
Dude, when you said I've offered, I thought you'd be like, I offered to do the hoover, and he's like, no, it's fine. This guy's like, no, I got a cleaner in.
But this was when, like, you know, I was when I was going to work, I was getting home late. By the time, when am I going to get time to do anything, right? And we were newly married, so it was like every weekend someone had something going on, right? Like it's either John at someone's house, right, or there's something going on, right? So we were like, oh yeah, we'll get a cleaner. We had a cleaner for a bit, and then cleaner stopped coming, and they're like, well, we enjoy it. We do a better job than the cleaner. I'm like, God, what do you can't win here, right? So it's just like, hey, now we've got like 3 floors, right? So it's like 1 floor each, and I'm like, all right, cool, let's just get it done, all done in one day, and then we're done for the week. But it doesn't stop, and then
you know what you do? You put microfiber cloths on your kids when they're calling, and they
yeah, I've seen that. Reshma can't wait for that.
Caden, if I put a cloth on him, he's either going to eat it, right? Or he'll go, the first place he goes, if he's downstairs, is straight for the amp. And he starts pressing buttons and turning the volume up and everything. I'm like, what are you doing?
I think mine put biscuits in my video. We had videos. Biscuits.
I can't wait for all this, especially when they start walking. It amuses me because there's something new every week, and I'm like, this is so much fun. Like I'm so happy I get to see it, because that's the best thing about this whole thing.
And it's the one-liners. Once they start talking, we were sitting and having dinner today, and they were talking about dances, and they were trying to do one of those dab Fortnite kind of crazy dances. So the little one turns around to the other one and goes, "Don't judge me. I haven't seen that one yet." I'm like, you're 4.
That is brilliant.
We're sweating ourselves today. We're like, brilliant.
This is what we got this all to
the eyebrow was like up here. Don't judge me.
I can't wait for all of this.
They're brilliant. And the best thing is we've got my kids to support Man U, and their dad's a Liverpool Everton supporter, because we moved to Macclesfield.
There you go.
Did. So in that,
you've just offended Barb, but we're really happy.
I converted.
Why have we done this to them?
When Daddy came with his blue shirt on, my kids were wearing red.
At least, why don't you give him? But if he's an Everton fan, why don't you just give him Liverpool shirts? Like that would be the best.
Yes, for all
that's the best, present to give him, and say, all right, if you want to be against it, at least wear the Liverpool shirt.
So we had to keep him with the train, didn't they?
Oh God, this is so bad. He sends me pictures of Jaden all the time with his United kit on. I'm like, why are you doing this to the poor kid, man? Bicharo.
Hey, listen, all you Liverpool fans were like, we would never walk alone. Right now, you're in lockdown and you're walking alone.
That honestly, if there's one thing that really annoyed me, is I didn't get to celebrate the win in the league last year. That honestly, it really.
It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, isn't it?
Oh, honestly, I was depressed by it, man. Like, honestly, things don't really get to me. That really got to me. I was like, I just wish I could have been there. But it's all right, man. I'm hoping we'll win it again, and I can take my son with me this time, and we can go celebrate together. I had it planned. He was gonna be like 2 weeks old, and I was like, "You're getting in that car with me, and I'm taking you out to Liverpool." Yeah, I'm taking my little mascot with me, right? I've got my little Liverpool baby grows on you. You're coming with me. I'm taking you. Now he's definitely coming up because he could make noise with me as well, so it's all good.
Your missus ain't going to be pleased about that journey.
She's coming along, right?
No, she has to, because someone needs to look after him on the drive, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Yeah. We'll probably have to stay the night as well. And then she's going to say, "Oh, while we're here, should we go to the outlet down the road as well while we're at it?"
And she's got to make it worth her while, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. To be honest, I'll probably end up shopping more than she does. So yeah, why not, innit? It's not a bad place.
Right, I'm gonna have to remind you guys that we're on an hour's limit today, and we've kind of hit that number.
Oh wow!
Oh gosh, I know. When I was thinking, how am I going to fill an hour?
See, we told you.
Yeah.
Guys, just cut it down to 49 minutes. I don't think we're going to be able to talk for that long. An hour.
Priya's already said there's an outlet there. I'm there.
Yeah, she hasn't been to that one, and that one is huge.
Happy birthday, Priya, by the way.
I like, he's literally digging himself a hole there. If there wasn't any restrictions in place, she'd be like, "Barvish, you're taking the day off."
Honestly, I'll do it for that because it's far. It's like a 4-hour drive, right? So we'd have to stay over.
Not
as well.
from mine. You can do a pit stop in mine. Come and visit me. Bring the little one here. I'll take the little one. You and Priya can go.
Keep the chai pani ready as well, yeah.
Half cup, 2 sugars.
Brilliant.
All right. Well, I guess thank you very much for taking and spending the time with us this evening.
No, thanks for having me.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure. I know you're a very busy woman and that you've got a lot on your plate to balance right now. So, taking the time out to plan this as well has been extremely interesting and rewarding.
Right.
I might say that we will be back here again soon.
Yes, I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about again.
Definitely.
It's great to hear dads talk about these things as well. So nice one for you two on that. I think it's great. It's really good.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Yes.
And for anyone that's watching, Sunita will be providing us with an exclusive discount code to use to order the calendar, books and all sorts. So we will be posting that on the socials. So keep a lookout for it. Get your orders before these calendars do go. Because they definitely are worth it along with the books. But thank you again for joining us, and we shall see you soon.
Yes, nice one. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Have a good evening, everyone. Take care.
And you. Right then, guys. Take care all. Thanks for watching. Bav.
See you later. Bye.
Enjoy
see you
the
guys
rest
next
of
week.
your birthday.
He's going to get it now.
I'm going straight down now. That's it. Have some cake.
He's just driving here and dropping the baby off as we speak.
Oh, yeah, that's probably true as well. That's it.
He would, but not in the car that he's left with at the moment.
We're not going on the car talk, right? We'll save that for next week.
All right then, guys.
Take care.
Have a great night.
See you later.
Night. Bye.
Bye.